Welcome to Global Citizen Life. Today on the podcast, we have Professor Maurizio Rosini, Italian-born, head of marketing and communications for a French private university. He's passionate about education and blockchain technology. Recently, he's embraced a new venture as head of marketing and communication for a Web3 company based in Malaysia and operating worldwide. Professor Maurizio Rosini is facilitating a men's circle in Kuala Lumpur, co-creating a community of men willing to become more emotionally mature, developing more self-awareness and confidence in order to live the most fulfilling life as possible. Well, thank you for joining us today.
What a presentation. I got goosebumps. Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you decided to, I guess, accept the position and move to Malaysia. Like, had you been there before? How did that all kind of work out for you?
Very interesting. So, okay, as you said, born and raised in Italy, but then after my studies in Italy, I moved to the UK to have the first degree in marketing communication. Then I moved for a year in Japan, back to the UK. Then I lived for a bit in the States, in the West Coast mainly, and then Colombia, and then back to Italy. So I wasn't, quite lucky, quite lucky. I wasn't new to moving. I wasn't new to put myself out of my comfort zone. As you know, relocate is always quite a challenge at times. And while I was in Italy, big chunk of my professional life, I was working for high-end brands, luxury fashion industry. So I started in Fendi, then ended up in Prada, then in Jimmy Choo. And in that time, I wasn't fulfilled very much because I was financially doing very well. But I was always questioning myself, is this everything about life? I mean, yes, okay, I'm financially good, but I was working crazy hours, absolutely committed, fulfilling the dreams of somebody else. In that case, was a Prada family. So I started to question myself. And as usual, once you question yourself, the answers, they always come, maybe through a movie, through a book, through a mentor, through a YouTube channel, whatever. A long story short, I was really asking the universe, to go back and live abroad, because I always felt that once I live outside Italy and I experience diverse community, I speak a different language, I always felt very comfortable with it. And the universe, as you ask, immediately you receive. So I had this opportunity to become a brand manager for a Swiss-Italian brand, still in fashion, and to relocate in Malaysia. And I never been to Malaysia before. I wasn't, never been traveling there. And I had not much information about it, but I felt was the right thing to do. So I literally sold my car, the furniture of my house and everything. And I came to Malaysia.
Wow, quite a journey. And you're right. I love that, you say we have to, when we start questioning ourselves and then we put things out there as to what's right for me. And a little bit of that is obviously knowing me, because what's right for you, Malaysia right now is great for you. It may not be great for somebody else. But it's knowing ourselves. And that's part of the reason why I do this podcast, is to help people realize, like, there's differences everywhere. There's not just one place that's great. There's pros and cons to every single place. So it's great that you had that experience in so many different countries and now being in Malaysia.
Well, yeah, and let me take a chance a second, and I want to really appreciate, say thank you for what you're doing to give room to individuals to tell their story, and I really resonate with your mission. So thank you again for this beautiful message that you are delivering to people through your podcast. Look, to reply to your question, Sally, I think one of the things that I was able to embrace with proud of myself is curiosity. Curiosity has been always my drive. And due to curiosity, I've been embracing and experiencing beautiful things and I went into even the darkest things of life, So, and now at my 46, working a lot within myself, I can see the beauty of a life's journey. Then, there is no more failure. There is no more dark or light. There is no more right and wrong. It's just part of a journey. And the person which is in front of you and vice versa, the person, you and me, we are just the outcome of all our experiences. And what I believe that as more often we are able to get comfortable outside our comfort zone, at times it's scary, but it's doable, is that where the magic happens. And surely relocate with all the pros, I don't want to say pros and cons, but with all the beautiful things and the challenges, it speeds up the process to really embrace the beauty that we have. So the resilience, the way that in some way, somehow we always, make it happen. And that's why, especially to the youngster, I always suggest experience, live abroad, not just for the sake to live abroad, but just to find yourself in a different reality, which is not, it does not resonate with you. At the beginning could be a bit overwhelming, but then you will see that you're really gonna love the journey.
Absolutely. And I think too, it makes us realize and kind of question our own thoughts and beliefs. Like I've done lots of work on myself over the years and living in many different places, I realized just because I thought something, even now, just because I think a certain way or I believe certain things, it's not right and it's not wrong. It is just what has been my journey. And so I love having conversations with people who have different thoughts, different beliefs, different values, because that's great for them. And for me, it's to understand why. Like, and I know why is because their experience, but I want like the detail of their experience or why they think a certain way. Because I truly know and believe that if I was taken as a child from my home in Canada and raised in a completely different culture and country halfway around the world, my thoughts and beliefs and values would be completely different. So it's nice to know that why. And it's never for me to try to change someone's mind or have them change my mind. It's just an openness and understanding. And it's just nice to be like, oh, that makes sense. I can understand now why a certain culture does certain things, a certain country, the way that it works, which may seem to be slower or not as advanced at other countries, and the reasoning behind all of that. And also, a big thing is knowing that a lot of times the people of countries are not the same as the government of countries, because those are completely separate things. And the media just blends it together, which I think when people travel and move to different places and spend a good amount of time, not just go on vacation, because you don't really get to know a country, but when we live somewhere, then we understand truly the people, the culture, and what it's really like. And that's what I love about moving to different places and speaking with different people from various countries.
You said it just beautiful, really. Congratulations for the awareness that you have, the process. Sally, I would like to share that due to the fact that, as I mentioned before, I lived in few places, I've seen that there's a kind of a pattern within the community of expats. They come, let's say, from Spain or Italy, let's say, to Malaysia, to Philippines, to New York, to Toronto, and they bring along with them a lot of judgments, of comparisons, while, the beauty of traveling and relocating is actually get naked emotionally about your belief, just release and letting go and see with a different perspective another reality, and then see, wow, interesting, here are the things that do it in this way or the other way. So it's a beautiful journey. I mean, if you are ready to really to acknowledge that there is not truth, there is not one truth, there is not one right or wrong. It really depends, as you said beautifully. You are born and raised in Canada as a Canadian, but then at the age of 2, you were moved to Naples. You would speak Italian. You would have the body language, even though born in Canada. So I do believe, as I guess you just said it very nicely, I do believe that diversity is actually the most beautiful things that we can embrace. Whoever fight against diversity, you know, is historically will lose, because that's what we're heading to. And to go to, I just live literally 5 minutes away from the towers in Kuala Lumpur. I just want to spend a couple of words about how beautiful, how amazing, how gentle, how welcoming is Malaysia in general, and especially Kuala Lumpur. It's a city of around, with the neighborhoods, about 8 million people, but
Wow,
is,
it's quite large.
yeah, absolutely hyper developed, very good quality of air. There's a bit of traffic, but at the stage of my life is exactly giving me, and I'm very blessed for that, what I'm looking for. A welcoming community. It's absolutely diverse. Malaysia itself is, the population is about 32 millions. We have the majority, 60% of it, the community is, they call it Bumiputra, so the Malay, the Muslim part. Then you have about 30% Chinese, and about 10% Indians. So think about, you have a Muslim community, so of course praying with a different kind of accent when they speak, different beliefs, different diet, and of course different look. Then you have Chinese, so you got Buddhist, Taoist, you have Christians, Catholics, and then the Indians. Each one of them, three strong cultures all together. So the diversity, the belief, even, we have temples, we have churches, we have mosques. So it's such a beautiful city where you can live in extreme luxury, or you can, with $2, you can have a beautiful meal on the street, absolutely healthy. So you can really, according to your needs, according to your even spending power, you can really live a super fulfilling life. And the weather itself, it's beautiful, 25 to 28 degrees Celsius all year around. So you can do sports, you can play out, you can stay out, people socialize very, very easy. So I'm very blessed to be here, very grateful.
And it sounds amazing. So that already even answers a few of the questions I was going to have about kind of that cost of living. And so it's not a place that is super expensive, especially compared to North American standards, for sure. What about safety? How do you feel there with safety?
Great question, yours. I didn't mention that. So think I come from Italy, which is, in certain areas, you got to be always careful. Actually, unfortunately, in Europe in general now, due to the war, this is, I won't say it's the greatest time for my fellow Europeans, and I really bless them. I lived in Colombia, as I mentioned, I was in Medellin, so it is absolutely safe. I never ever had a problem, and there is some pickpocket here and there, but it's absolutely. And I'm not trying. Look, I'm not trying to sell you Kuala Lumpur. I'm telling you the things as they really are. Even in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, they have the gun culture. So there is a lot of shooting, and there is Malaysia. Thanks God, there is not any kind of gun. So very, very rarely you hear about robberies in the bank or shooting around. Very little.
Okay.
Malaysia itself has never been affected by any tsunami, any earthquake, any kind of problem. You have 12, due to the location of it, between Thailand and Singapore, you have 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of dark.
Oh, nice.
It's absolutely, um, absolutely harmonized.
Consistent.
I'm not a
It stays that way year round.
year around, and I'm
Nice.
not a father. I don't have kids, but all my friends that they have kids, they are private schooling, which is average pricing. You have the best teachers from usually Canadians, Americans, some Europeans, British, some Italians, and French. It's very much green. There is a lot of parks. Again, I'm literally living, I don't know if you know the Petronas Towers, or the two Twin Towers. Okay, look, I can see them from my place. And there is a beautiful park, which is called KLCC, KL Central, City Center, where I go, I work in my place, my office, then I go down, have a run and come back. It's, how can I say, it's like really God listen to all my prayers. I live in a state of bliss, I would say, anytime I go out. Um, and I would like to share with you, Sally, and I believe and assume that you understand what I'm saying, that, you know, whatever we have within is whatever we give out. In 5 years, when I was just arrived, I was single, you know, I went to this application and I met this Greek girl. And I remember she was absolutely hating Kuala Lumpur. But when I talked to her, she was very mean with anyone. Then I said, no wonder why you're not enjoying. And the very only person in 5 years that I found hating Kuala Lumpur was this person. What is the point of it? That you can be in a Fiji Islands, you can be a multi-billionaire, and you can be bored, you can be mean to people and having the worst time of your life. You can be an average person with $5 in your pocket and being, I don't know, in a super expensive place, and it could be the most happiest person. I believe that whatever we give out, that's the way we mold our reality. And Malaysia, for me, it is a place that is facilitating a very deep inner work. And I ask for mentors, I receive mentors, I go through my lessons, I embrace them, and I give out a lot of love, to be honest, in different forms, and I receive a lot of love from the community.
And I think that's a good point to make, because truly what we do focus on, as you said, like if I'm going to be a negative person and I'm hating everything, I'm going to find everything that's going to irritate me more and make me more angry, and just little things that if I'm happy and I'm in a great mood and things are good, even though it could be dog poop on the street, but if I'm in a bad mood, it's like, oh, of course, there's dog poop on the street. There's dog poop everywhere. But if I'm in a good mood and happy, things are going to be like, oh, careful, there's dog poop on the street. Somebody must have just forgot to pick it up, or the dog got out, could have been a stray dog. And it's just how we perceive it, even though it's the same. And so it is a bit, no matter where we want to live, that we will find the positives or we will find the negatives, depending upon what we either consciously or subconsciously are looking for.
Wow, you said, yes, it's all about that, Sally. And according to the degree of according to the degree on our capacity to surrender to certain situations, to let it go, you know, most of the time, all our frustrations, you know why they come up? Because the reality that we live in does not match what we perceive it should be. So we create a gap between our wants and what it really is. So there is no other way to just embrace and let it go. Of course, if you come from Vancouver, where the bureaucracy is like everything online, super fast, and you go on a developed country, what are you expecting of? But surely, I don't want to take Vancouver, but let's say Milan, you know, the warm, the welcoming of people from Milan, it's not even close a third of how people are welcoming here. So it always comes down, once you relocate, what does it mean for you, a good quality of life? If you are a
Right.
person that don't you think so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is right. And so for you, you got to Malaysia and you're there now on a work visa. So with
Yeah.
that, I'm assuming the company did up all the paperwork and documents and things like that for you to go there on a work visa.
Yeah, yeah. Malaysia, in that sense, I would say that is, I won't say super friendly when it comes to visa for foreigners, due to the fact that the economy is very small and there are 32 millions. They absolutely understandable. They tend to be very picky with the foreigners they bring in. Saying that, if you are a CEO of a company, especially in oil and gas, there's a lot of Canadians. I got friends Canadians here, and Americans, British, Australians. They come for oil and gas. hyperpaid, they give them all the perks, luxury cars, and this and that. That's easy. But let's say if you want to come as an individual to open a business in Malaysia, there is quite a lot of paperwork to do. There is quite a lot of paperwork to do. And yeah, that's, to be honest, okay, that's the part a little bit less funny in all the happy story.
But it's still possible, right? We're not saying it's not possible, but it's just so people
Absolutely.
are aware that, be prepared for some bureaucracy, be prepared for lots of paperwork. People do it, but don't think that it's going to just be go in a few pieces of paper and everything's going to be done. And there are various visa programs, and I know that they have there as well. So if somebody wants to go, it's just be aware that there are different ones. Probably best to talk with a lawyer, somebody to help through the process, and have patience. And that's really moving to every country. Have patience.
Absolutely, dear Sally. And at the moment, a visa, the most interesting one is called digital nomad. It's very inexpensive, it's like $200 US. It's 1 year plus one renewable. You must to work into the IT industry. You must to prove a very low, like 24,000 US dollars a year. So very doable. And then, okay, in that case, yes, it's quite easy. I would suggest whoever is interested to move in here and works in IT, you can find the agents in Kuala Lumpur that will facilitate the whole procedure. That one is quite easy, especially for the youngster. That's a very good visa, actually, that one at the moment. Or many of the foreigners, it's called MM2H, Malaysia as a second home. So buying properties. That one is another way to have the visa. It's 10 years visa, renewable. Of course, more expensive in that case, because you have to invest at least 300, 400,000 US dollars, plus you have to have $200,000 liquidity. It's a bit more complicated, the whole thing, but it's doable.
But yeah. So everybody just needs to kind of look at their situation, where they're at, and what their goals are. And if it's more long term, maybe then that MM2H makes sense for some people, or for retirees or things like that, where somebody who's younger wants to travel around a lot. Yeah, looking more at that digital nomad visa. So there's always options. What about banking? Now that you're there, you're working with a company. Have you had to open up, or have you opened up a local bank account there?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, once, very interesting question. Once you receive your working visa, then you are allowed to have a bank account, and you can convert your driving, as I did, your driving license. You have some perks. It's interesting as a foreigner. Just to give you an idea on how it works in Malaysia, is if a foreigner, male foreigner, marry a local Malaysian, the government still won't allow you to have a bank account, but the bank account has to be under your spouse and yourself. Okay. And in order to work, your spouse has to fill up a form allowing you to work. So it's a bit, there is this kind of, but it actually, Sally, is in all Southeast Asia, it's happening everywhere. They were way more loose. Still, Laos and Cambodia, they are quite easy. But Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines are getting more and more strict on this. It's a way for what concern visas. Again, I don't want to discourage anyone, but I just want to be honest on that. That's what is happening. And if you see the whole APAC area, so Philippines, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia, the GDP since the 1980s has been steady but slowly increased. If you see vice versa in US, Canada, and Europe, is actually sinking. So I've been researching quite a lot in the next 100 years. Within the next 100 years, the Southeast Asia actually is going to be one of the most safe and wealthy place where to live.
Yeah, they're definitely growing and on the incline. Absolutely. It's and I kind of see in a way some of those restrictions. I mean, again, cultural values, things from, going back hundreds, thousands of years. It makes sense. If we're going to move to a place, we need to respect those cultures and values and things. But also at the same point, I understand too, of wanting to not to have it so easy for everybody to just come, because we see that happening in other countries where yes, there is a need because there's population decline in a lot of countries, that there is a need for foreigners and immigrants and smart people who know things in specific fields and stuff like that. But at the same time, we also see where there's a substantial number of people moving, and there's just not like not even housing. It's a problem even in Canada that they're allowing so much immigration, but these some of these people are staying in oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they don't have homes for them. So they're staying in either hotels or some of them are even living on the street. I'm like, how can we be inviting people to immigrate to Canada and we don't even have a homes for them? Like that's just not right. It's not, oh, come to Canada and sleep outside or stay in a shelter. Like that's not why people move. And so governments need to have a fine balance of what countries need, what helps them improve, but at the same point, they also need to make sure that the local community of their people, of course, need to be taken care of and afford living in homes and food and all of those types of things. And so it's good to know for people to know what the reality is, because there's some online platforms and sites and stuff that are like, oh, move here, it's cheap, it's great. Oh, move here, it's cheap, it's great. It's like, yes, that's part of the truth, but not every place is rainbows and butterflies. Because I say if it's just rainbows and butterflies, there's also unicorns. So it doesn't exist. Every place has some challenges and things for us to adjust to. But that's to me is part of the reason why we're looking for a different country, why we want to move, why we want to try something. I don't want to bring Canada with me to other countries. Sure, there's bits of things because it's ingrained, but I also want to be open to how that country and culture works.
You said it all, dear Sally, and even one of the thousand reasons why I always suggest to travel and to see things with a different eyes is because even once you go back home, whatever you call home, you will be much more compassionate because you can understand. Sometimes people, let's say based in Italy or whatever, they start to judge immigrants, but once you live abroad and you go and you experience, what does it mean, even as a Northern American and European, that we give for granted that our piece of paper, the passport, allows us for nothing to get everywhere. And once you go to the immigration in a country that it makes you feel, say, okay, I don't care if you're Italian, Canadian, French, I don't care. This is Malaysia, and this is the way we do things. It humbles you a lot. And at the beginning can be painful because the ego comes up and says, hey, come on, I'm Italian, I'm Canadian. But, actually it helps a lot to humble yourself down and understand, that we are very lucky, because we are human beings and then we all the same, but because of a piece of a paper, which is a passport, it determines your entire life. Trust me. When I was in Colombia and I had a Colombian girlfriend, we were traveling, backpacking in Asia, Fiji Islands, South Africa. And just to share a short story, anytime I was getting to a new country, Italian, pizza, pasta, Ferrari, Mandolino, Prada, and they were very nice. When was Catalina time with the Colombian passport, and was actually they was very mean. Hi, you Colombian? I see. What you carrying with you? And she was very gentle. She was very threatening her. Just because of a passport. So I felt and experienced the frustration. Due to the difference of, again, for a piece of paper. So that is something that is I will never forget for sure. How lucky we are to have a passport that allows us to travel very easily and freely all around the world and explore the world. Other people, they cannot even, imagine that.
Right, right. Another thing I find too is it also opens the understanding of when I go back to Canada and there's again there's people from all over the world who are moving to Canada. And if they're having a tough time or not understanding something, I'm more willing now than I was in my younger years, to be helpful and more patient, because I know what it's like to be in a country and not speak the language. I know what it's like to have somebody trying to explain that what I need to do, and I don't understand what they're saying or how it works. And I understand how frustrating it is trying to figure those things out, and trying to do what needs to be done the way it needs to be done, but not knowing, because either the language barrier, and that's a big part of it, or just the way the steps in the process works. And so I've said for a long time, I think if everybody in the world was forced to spend a year, at least 1 year, in a country where they don't speak the language, the entire world would be a friendlier, nicer, better place, because we understand more the struggles that people go through, um, with having a privilege of being able to move to and live in a different country. And it's not easy. It's hard. And sometimes unless you do it, then you understand. And I think then we have more empathy for other people who do it, because we really know that sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, may I ask you, Sally, where are you based now? Can I ask you that?
Yeah, so my journey, I've moved around quite a bit. So born and raised in Canada, then I moved to Costa Rica for about 4 or 5 years, then traveled a bit, moved to Spain for I think it's about four. I go back to Spain a lot even now. I'm currently in the country of Montenegro, so in the Balkan region. Um,
Oh,
and when I moved, I always moved by myself, don't speak the language, don't know anybody. I do it, like, I swear, the hardest way possible. And I'm right now, as we speak, I'm considering selling my place and relocating to another new country where I don't know anybody. I haven't decided which country yet, but yeah, I'm looking to do it all over again.
oh, interesting. So you're in Montenegro right now.
Hmm.
Wow, I
Montenegro
heard
is
beautiful
beautiful.
things about. I heard so many good
Mhm.
things about it.
It's absolutely beautiful, and I love it, especially because in coming from being in Spain, in Barcelona, Barcelona is so busy, and I love it. But I have the type, like, I love being in the city. I love the busyness, but I love escaping the city and being in nature and being where it's a little bit quieter. So I've really enjoyed the kind of back and forth between Barcelona and being in Montenegro. But I think the world economy is going to be changing soon. I do like being here, but I do get bored at the same time. And so I I'm looking for something that's maybe, I don't know, that's just a change, something different. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
it's time
But
for a
have you
new,
considered
I call it
Asia?
a new chapter in my life.
Yeah, that's exciting though. Have you considered Asia?
I'm considering, in very different places. I'm considering France, Malaysia, and Dubai. So all
Wow.
very different places.
Sure. And
Yeah.
well, if you can time, I mean, why don't you spend like, have you been there before? Either France, Malaysia, and Dubai?
Spent a bit of time in France. I do quite like France. And it's close to Spain and Barcelona and stuff. So there's some of that I have there. I've never been to Dubai, but I have a friend that lives there and she absolutely loves it. So this time, though, before I make a decision, I'm going to make sure I visit places. Usually I just kind of show up and decide, yep, I'm going to move here. Nope. And then I go back
Wow.
and make sure that I do it. And I would like to go to Malaysia first,
Wow.
and
Come
check it
over.
out.
Come.
But yeah,
I mean, every journey is different. But if you are a
absolutely.
girl, as so open and willing to explore, I mean, you should explore. Everybody comes here, and then they get very surprised.
Hmm. Yeah, and I haven't
After
really
that,
spent much time in Asia at all through my travels. I've been to India, and then my friend who actually lives in Dubai, we did a trip I think probably about 2018 or 19. It was before the pandemic. And we went to Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. And that was a great trip. So, I'm definitely open to different cultures and things like that. And I don't think my next place that I live will be forever because I'm sure I'll move again, but
Wow.
maybe for about
I mean,
5-ish years is my plan to if I can settle for 5 years and then reevaluate.
I'm impressed, really. And if I may ask, like, you just enjoy, or you have your own business that you can run, or you just enjoy wherever you go?
I've got my own business, so I can work. It's online, so I'm able. I've designed, as I tell people. People are like, "Oh, you're so lucky." It's not luck. It's design. We design our lives, and I've designed so I can be online, so I can work anywhere. Recently, I ended up going back to Canada for 6 months. My mom had cancer, and so luckily I could just pack up, go help out where my brothers, they've got traditional jobs. They have to be at work. They have to be in places. So I was lucky that I could go back and help out and still do a bit of work and keep things going. And she's great now. She's all good. It's clear and all gone. So it's been great. And then so I came back and kind of now back into doing me and my thing again, and it was done by design. And I hate to always say pros and cons, but it's a balance of there's challenges and there's great things. But I don't see my family all the time. I do try to go back once a year, but I get to see many beautiful places and I make many friends. But then, like when I leave certain countries, I leave my friends. I mean, we're still in contact. Thank goodness there's Zoom and there's Facebook, and I love to travel and try to get back. But the more countries I move to, the harder it is to always get back to some of the old ones that I used to live at. But that's part of the journey for me. That's my journey. So
Wow, I'm absolutely impressed by you. And beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, for some reason, I assume that you are still in Canada. And okay, now that we are connected, let me know if you come to Kuala Lumpur. I'll take you around. And then you see. Then you're gonna make your choice.
yes, then I'll decide. And I just think like for me, part of the problem, and maybe for some of the listeners too, is I believe like when there's a will, there's a way, right? And so if somebody wants to relocate, it may not be easy. It may not be quick, and it may not be cheap, right? Like those are the three things. If you want to, and by that I mean the time for your visa that it may take, depending upon what you want, the country that you're going to. Are you going to sell everything and buy new? Like there's so many things to think about, but there's always a way. And I want to know people that there's always that way. And that's why I talk to different people in different places to see what is life really like there. Because if you're not happy where we're at, we should try someplace new. But I feel like I never feel like we're stuck because somebody said to me one time, they're like, "You're going to Montenegro? Like, what if you don't like it?" I said, "Oh, well, if I don't like it, I'll just leave." Like I'm not shackled here. We're not stuck anywhere. The only thing that makes us stuck is our mindset. Now, I understand for some people with different types of jobs and family and kids and things like that, it's not as easy as it is for me, but that then it comes down to doing more research and going on those trips and travel and see those destinations to make the right decision. But if you're not happy wherever you're living, there's a whole world to choose from.
Correct. Yeah, you've done a massive work within yourself, and for you, it's something which is very easy. I'm sure you got friends that are gonna say, "Oh my gosh, how courageous you are!" So you are leading them. Maybe for sure you are trigger some of your close friends to say, "Wait a second, I mean, she's doing it. I can do it." So unconsciously you are helping and people as well. To get out of their comfort zone with your lifestyle.
Well, and I just think too, just because we were born in a country doesn't mean we're meant to necessarily be there. When I was in high school, I remember it was a winter day in Canada, cold, of course. And we were outside. It must have been a break or lunch or something. I don't really recall, but I remember saying to my friends, think I've been switched at birth. And they were like, what? Your parents aren't your parents? I said, not literally. Like my parents are my parents. I do believe that. But I said, I don't think I'm meant to live in Canada my entire life. Like it was just something within me when I would have been 16-ish years old that I knew. And so sometimes we do have to kind of reconnect with our inner soul and figure out what we do want. Now you don't have to go halfway around the world or far. Sometimes it's I know people from North America that love being in Mexico or Panama, Costa Rica, all great places, same time zone for work. It might be better for them, closer for travel time, but there's many great places to live around the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how does your kind of average day look like in Kuala Lumpur?
Oh, wake up at 6.
Mhm.
Uh, Usually the first things that I do when I wake up, I do some meditation. Then usually I have a decaf coffee. I go down. Okay, in another good amazing thing that all the building, mainly especially in KLCC area, the buildings they have swimming pool, sauna, tennis court, and gym. So I just get a lift. I'm living in a floor 17th. Go down to level 7, facing the pool. I do some workouts, then go up, proper coffee, shower, and then I start my work. I work hybrid because, first of all, being a French university, what I'm doing, I'm developing the business in Southeast Asia. So if I deal with Sri Lanka, Vietnam, whatever, time-wise, it's almost the same. Sometimes I have a late call, a Zoom call, but it's okay because I have a good team back in France, which is very capable. So I delegate a lot and have quite a good free time. And something that I would like to share with you, really, that it's a beautiful journey. Since 1 year, I'm the facilitator of the biggest men's circle in Malaysia. And it's quite a beautiful thing because nobody was trusting in the process, but actually is coming stronger and stronger. I have 60 men in the group. And then the average, actually tomorrow, we have another session, tomorrow evening, and it's a beautiful journey because that's the way that I learn how to serve the community. And I embrace the gift that I receive. So I'm quite good on gathering people, let's say leading people. And I've seen that with men, they resonate with me because again, I went through a lot. So I can understand what's going on. I can perceive the pain of a man which is not able to be vulnerable, not able to open up, with his friends, mate, and buddies. And long story short, a men's circle is a beautiful practice that we sit all of men in a circle, and we do a bit of grounding, a bit of breath work. Then we open up the circle. We do some accountability. For example, what is your emotion that you carry with you right now? And then there's a topic usually. Tomorrow is going to be how to embrace healthy masculinity. The previous one was how to break the stigma about mental health. And it's a beautiful journey, Sally, because a journalist quite famous actually in Malaysia got to know what we are doing, so interview me, and I went to the newspaper. Then in Penang, which is up north in the country, another gentleman told me, "Hey, Mauri, we would like to have you and open a men's circle." So I did, and we managed to open a new men's circle. So these things is getting bigger and bigger, and I'm building up mentoring coaching only for men, a one-to-one. The university is supporting on me. They're gonna open some door now in some universities. So it is something that I share with you because it's a beautiful journey where, again, all the struggles, all the downs, they are actually coming to place now as an amazing power of uh, helping others, because I understand immediately what they're going through because I went through the same. So I support them. I support men in the journey of getting in touch with themselves in terms of emotions, to acknowledge their fears, to process their fears, understand where they come from, and to deal with them. And you have no idea, the girlfriends, wives, they are so happy. And they actually mainly are the women, the partners that send the guys to the circle because they want, to support them in this journey. It's very
Oh,
beautiful, really.
great. Great. And it's interesting how new opportunities can arise when we're in different places that we maybe didn't think of at home. Because part of it, as you said, part of the journey and the struggles make us stronger, give us those experiences, give us more knowledge, and then we can help give back in various ways. I talk to different people and they've done so many different things that they've never even thought of doing or that they could do when they're in their home country. But for some reason, that whole change and move and just seeing different things where pockets of need are, or they've gotten inspiration from their own journey to help others. So that's fantastic.
Thank you very much. And to just give a point of what you're saying, that people, they realize that once they are abroad, you know why? And I've been questioning myself many times because there's a lot of self-conditioning. Back to Canada, back to Italy, where you are conditioned by the education, by the neighbors. You won't dare to do certain things because you are afraid of the judgment. But once you are in a different environment, you are able to get rid of all the judgment and conditioning. So you let yourself go. And that's what actually happens once I coach the guys, I facilitate the men's circle. That why doesn't matter. We don't need to travel. We don't need to do extraordinary things. But think about your life. Once you are able to deal with your self-judgment and fears, think how much free you are. You can create so much beauty in your life without the needs of traveling, or relocating or doing crazy things.
That's true. It's true. It's all those things that around us of what will other people say, what will they think, and we're thinking more about it than even the people around us are thinking or saying. And so we definitely need to kind of get over that. But Maurizio, if people, some of the men listening wanted to be in touch with you, do you have some online stuff that you're doing, or is your circle, like your circle is in person there, but do you have online things as well?
Yeah, absolutely. If they reach out to me on my IG or Facebook or LinkedIn, I do actually men's circle or one-to-one coaching online as well. And I suggest always to give a try, because especially men, it's very difficult for them to accept that they have a problem, to open up. But once they join, oof, they get committed because they understand. It's like going to the gym. Instead of training your bicep, you train your heart, your mind, and to get aligned. So absolutely, I will be more than happy to connect with people from all over the world and try to do my best to support them.
Perfect. And we'll put some links to that in the show notes below. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for your time and your information about Malaysia and obviously your joy of living there. And I'm sure the listeners got some valuable information and perhaps inspired them to take that leap abroad, whether it's Malaysia or somewhere else. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much. I really enjoy the podcast.